Right, Assalamualaikum and hi again. Uh, so this is our second session, if you want to call it a second session today. Um, so we are going to get into the next topic or subtopic, right, which is what should be written in minutes, right? So the first one, which has been stated here, is heading. A heading stating the name of the club, society, or the company, right? Uh, including, sorry, holding the meeting, the kind of meeting, and the place, the day, the date, and time of the meeting, right? So that should be written in the minutes. Then next is names of people who attended the meeting must also be written, okay? And this will be listed down alphabetically, okay? Uh, and those attending ex officio or by invitation, right? So their names must be recorded in the minutes and must be listed down alphabetically, right? And then next, of course, the record of decisions taken and resolutions passed. Okay. Next page we have here record of items of business discussed at the meeting, and will usually follow the same order of the arrangement as the agenda. Thus, the agenda is a useful tool when it comes to writing the minutes. Names of proposers and seconders, signature of the chairman usually added at the next succeeding meeting, right? So, uh, if you still remember what I said earlier, the chairman can only sign the minutes in the next meeting or in the succeeding meeting. Each item is usually numbered serially to make reference and cross-index easier. Okay. So we have here that minutes must follow from the agenda. Okay. So if you turn to page number 18, the sample agenda, right? We have here 10 items. The first item is, of course, chairman's address, right? Followed by apologies for absence, item number 2. Item number 3, minutes of the last meeting, right until item number 10, close. Okay. So it means that when you are writing the body of the minutes, you are going to write the headings, right? So the headings must follow the items that are in the agenda. So let's say, for example, item number 1 is chairman's address. So when you are writing the body of the minutes, then the first heading should be 1 dot chairman's address. And then you will write something underneath chairman's address, whichever is relevant. And then you leave one space. You move on to the second heading, which is apologies for absence. So it must follow whatever you have written in the agenda, right? It can't be like, for example, first heading, chairman's address. Second heading, matters arising. Third heading, apologies for absence. If you have written something like that, then that minutes is, of course, very poor, very weak, or it contains some errors, some huge errors. Okay, it must follow exactly what you have written in the body of the agenda, right? If first item is chairman's address, then the first heading in the body of the minutes must also be chairman's address. Okay. All right. So how to write minutes? Okay, you must start with the word minutes. Mention the type of meeting. Example 7th executive committee meeting. Mention the name of the club, society. Example KPM Sports Club. Give the day, date, time, and place of the meeting. Okay. So this is what it should look like, right? At the top part of the minutes, right? So at the top part of the minutes, you must write minutes of the 7th executive committee meeting of the KPM Sports Club held on Monday, 1st June 2019 at 5 p.m., 5 p.m. no comma there, in the Sri Andalas meeting room, KPMAM Student Center, full stop. Okay, so all these words or this whole sentence here has been italicized. When you are writing your minutes, it doesn't mean you must italicize. No, yeah, right. This is just to make sure you all of you know that this is just an example. Next, list the names of the people who attended the meeting, starting with the chairman's name first, followed by the secretary's name and then the other members. The list must be alphabetical in order and correspond with the content of the minutes. Okay. Now let us go on to see how the business is discussed at a meeting can be recorded in the minutes. Remember that the numbering of items in the minutes will follow the numbering in the agenda, like what I said earlier. So in the body of the minutes, right, we have here the chairman's address. Okay. The first item on the agenda would be in the introductory remark made by the chairman. Also state what time the meeting starts. You could write something like this. The chairman called the meeting to order at 5 p.m. and welcomed all the members. Okay. Please take note that this is how you should write when it is related to the chairman starting the meeting. Right? You can't write, for example, the chairman started the meeting with Bismillah or Basmala. Right? Or the chairman began the meeting. Oh, no. All those are not acceptable. What is acceptable is this phrase or this expression. The chairman called the meeting to order. Okay, call meeting to order more or less means begin something officially or begin something officially, right? Okay, it is not related to ordering nasi lemak or kway teow goreng or mee kung fu. Not that kind of order. It means begin something officially, right? And this is of course a relevant expression when it comes to meetings or when writing minutes of a meeting. Another thing which you should also take note is the secretary should use past tense when writing the verbs. So called, called, not calls or calling, but called, simple past tense. Okay, and welcomed. All right. Also, the tense or a verb tense in the past. Okay. All right. So we have the second heading, which followed exactly like what we have in the agenda. Second item is apologies for absence. So second heading is apologies for absence in the minutes. If all members are present, the secretary would write. Oh, it appears on the next page. There were no apologies for absence. So if the secretary writes there were no apologies for absence, it means that everyone was present at the last meeting. Nobody was absent. Okay. Please take note. Apologies, plural, apologis. That's why the verb is were. So plural noun, apologies, plural verb. Okay, right? However, if members had informed the secretary that they could not attend the meeting, the minutes should record the names and the reasons for the absence. Okay. For example, apologies for absence were received from Ms. Siti Fauzia Abu Bakar. What happened to her in the which has made her to be absent from the previous meeting? She was on medical leave. Yeah. And what happened to Mr. Zul Kamarul? He was also absent. He attended a course. So the reasons will be written in brackets. Okay. So if in your meeting someone was absent, right? So the secretary would have to write something like this: apologies for absence. Okay. Here you can see that the secretary has used the plural form, right? Apologies. because two people were absent. One, Fauzia, and two, Zulkamarul, right? So that's why we have apologies. If only one person was absent, let's say only Siti Fauzia was absent, only her from the previous meeting. So apologies will become apology for absence, right? APOLOGY, apology for absence was received. Not were received, was received. So if it's more than one person, so 1 plus 1, two people. That's why we have apologies, okay? So that's item number 2, apologies for absence. Minutes of the last meeting, 3. This is when the committee would check the facts in the minutes from the previous meeting. If there are no errors or omissions means something which has been left out, right? Which has been something important which has been left out. This is, of course, not purposely done by the secretary. Maybe the secretary has forgotten when writing or typing the minutes, so it has been accidentally omitted from the minutes. So if there are errors or omissions, the chairman would then if there are no errors, no omissions, everything looks picture perfect, then the chairman would sign the minutes to confirm that they are accurate. In the case, the secretary writes something like this: so the minutes of the last meeting were accepted as an accurate record and signed by the chairman if there are no errors, no omissions, okay? However, if there are errors, okay, let's say, for example, someone in the meeting has stated that there is at least one error or one omission from that has been found in the minutes from the previous meeting, the chairman will check whether it's right or wrong. If it's really correct, all right, whatever the error is, if it's really true, the error has been made, right, then the chairman will instruct the secretary to correct the error, right? Once that has been done, only then the chairman can sign the minutes from the previous meeting. So it will look something like this if there's an error. The minutes of the last meeting were read by the secretary. The following amendment was made. Item number 4, the price of the hockey stick listed at 300 ringgit was incorrect, and was changed to 3,000 ringgit. The minutes were then approved as a correct record and signed by the chairman. Okay, so this would be how the minutes will look like in item called minutes of the last meeting if there is an error, at least one error. Okay, so the error was highlighted, the error is highlighted, the error is corrected, and then finally the chairman will sign the minutes will then be approved and signed by the chairman. Okay, if there's an error. If there's no error, then as simple as this, right? Minutes of the last meeting were accepted and as an accurate record and signed by the chairman. Okay, if there's an error, it will look something like this. Okay, from previous experiences, students they corrected the error, they highlighted and corrected the error, which is good, correct, but then they forgot this last line. Minutes were then approved as a record and signed by the chairman, right? So if the chairman still has not signed the minutes from the previous meeting, right, it means that minutes from the previous meeting is still invalid or not valid, right? So to make it as a proper official document which has been accepted by people in the meeting, it must be signed by the chairman. Okay. All right. Matters arising. So this item provides a continuity, right, from one meeting to the next. If there's any information regarding developments or follow-up action taken with regard to the business dealt with at the last meeting, members may briefly present the information, and the minutes may read like this. Okay, Mr. Anwar Shamsuddin informed the meeting that lockers had been installed outside the squash courts and they were ready for use, right? So this is matters arising out of the previous minutes, right? Previous minutes. So In this context here, it means that Mr. Anwar Shamsuddin, all right, in the previous meeting, Mr. Anwar Shamsuddin was instructed by the chairman or the people in the meeting to check to see whether lockers had been installed outside the squash court. So before the next meeting, he already completed that task. So in the following meeting, in the next meeting, he informed the meeting that lockers had been installed outside the squash court and they were ready for use. Right? Informed the INFORMED, again, simple past tense verb. Okay. If there are no matters arising, nobody was given any task to report anything. So very easy. Chairman would just write or type. Sorry, the secretary would just type there were no matters arising. Okay. Correspondence related to outside context. Okay, this one I think fairly easy. Reports. Okay, usually financial matters, right? So this one should also be quite fairly straightforward. Yeah, I hope. Okay, we'll end here.